What's up and welcome back to the channel. You are listening to Ninja Knight. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell up above for future uploads. Check out the links posted in the description down below to support the channel and consider joining the channel today. Thank you. So today we have leaked images of Transformers masterpiece Jetfire aka Skyfire that is coming. This comes from a Figure Scan magazine, which is a magazine in Japan that shows retailers what upcoming products they have and generally will show them prototypes of the upcoming product for what they can expect to be on shelves. Now this is something that we've seen before. We've seen great prototypes, for example likes of what seems to be a masterpiece styled Optimus Prime from Transformers Armada that they don't know where to put that item whatsoever. They don't know whether to put that into the Generations line, they don't know whether to put that into a Hasbro worldwide release line, or whether Takara want to go ahead with that. It seems like that's up in the air. So when you see grey scale prototypes like this one, it's never nailed on that this will happen, but I have to say I think that this is going to happen. Why do I think this is going to happen? We've seen a resurgence in the character Jetfire. He has been quite popular in the Studio Series line from the Michael Bay movies. He has been very popular in the Commander class series of the Transformers War for Cybertron trilogy, so much so that we're going to get a repaint in the shattered glass colours. So I think that this is a very easy figure for them to put out, and I think this is going to be quite successful. Now there was some legal issues over the last couple of years between the original company who held the alternate form of Jetfire, held the likeness for that, and it seems like Hasbro have actually settled with that company and they fully own the character now and they fully own the alternate mode, which is why we got a fairly accurate Commander class figure. I think I'm with a lot of people that would have said it would be very difficult to improve upon that Commander class figure if you're going to go into the Masterpiece line. But we know now with the Masterpiece line that it's more of a tune accurate line now over the last couple of years, which I'm fully on board with. Yes, I like the real style version of the alternate modes, but to me, I want the perfect representation of what's seen on screen. And if you can give me a G1 Optimus Prime with a G1 truck that looks like it stepped off that screen and it has this beautiful coloration, I'm very happy with it and I'm all in for it. Something that I would be concerned with though is what's happened with Masterpiece figures over the last couple of years, and that is the amount of QC quality control issues that we've seen with this line. This has gone into, for example, the likes of stress marks being on toys straight away from out of the box that end up in very large cracks and then end up in very large breakages for the line, so much so that the Masterpiece Hound is now infamous for such breakages. Hasbro and Takara will both nail that down and say, well, we tried a new formula of plastic, it didn't work, sorry about that guys, no ultimate fix that's going to come for that. Are we going to get a version 2 of Hound, or are we going to get the same version but with a different plastic used? Nobody knows. The general gist of when you're looking at Transformers Masterpiece line, for example, is you wait for a re-release of the figure. If the figure is popular, it will get a re-release, and sometimes they correct the issues on forced release. There has been huge issues with quality control in terms of certain joints over the last couple of years, and chief protagonist for that one is going to be version 3 of Masterpiece Optimus Prime and his knees, for example. There was a lot of issues with that. Not only that then, but you also had very big issues and widespread issues with the ratchet joints that were on Masterpiece Dinobot from Beast Wars. So this is a trend that we're starting to see over the last couple of years, and it seems to be growing, and there seems to be an issue with every single Masterpiece figure that gets released. Megatron from Beast Wars also had similar problems, and Tigatron, from what I understand, seems to have no real issues at the moment, but that could always crop up at some stage. Cheetor had mushroom pegs that could break off, and I mean that is nearly half of your Beast Wars line, if not 3/4 of it, that have some sort of issue within them. Black Arachnia seems to be okay, but again, when you're looking at, for example, the G1 Transformers, there are a number of them there that if you transform them, you are going to scratch the paint off them, which I don't think is good enough for a high-end collectible, particularly with the money that people are paying for them. Dinobot is retailing for upwards of $250, same with Megatron, same with version 3 of Optimus Prime. This is the third version of Optimus Prime that we have out there, but they've pictured it now with the second iteration of Optimus Prime, which I think is quite strange. Maybe that's got to do with people really liking version 2 of Optimus Prime and there being very little to any complaints with that version. Maybe they didn't want to stand it beside version 3 of Optimus Prime, so we wouldn't draw correlations and point certain things out like I am doing right now and saying, well, the QC on the line hasn't been great over the last couple of years, you need to tighten that up. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility, and I don't think I'm being unreasonable when I'm asking a company, particularly when they are asking us for an awful lot of money for these figures, to have good QC on these figures. I don't think that's unreasonable at all. I want to see this Jetfire figure, if they are releasing this, to be perfect. I want to see the paint not being able to be scratched off. I don't want to see any joint in this figure being able to break. I don't want to have stress marks that to be dealt with this line. When you're looking at this figure and you're seeing with the way the prices have gone up and up consistently with this masterpiece line, I wouldn't be too surprised now if this Jetfire figure ended up being in the 300 plus range. I think because when you're looking at the scale of it, this is going to be an ambitious project. I don't think they can cheap out with materials on this. I don't think you're going to see hollow figures for this one. I certainly hope not. But we do know that sometimes they have to cut corners so that they can get it into a certain price range. That is something that has cropped up with the Beast Wars figures in recent years, that apparently to get them into a certain price range, they had to cut corners somewhere, and then it affects us then as a consumer because it's a compromised figure that's basically going to disintegrate at some stage later on down the road. There's an awful lot of people that are out there now that will buy two versions of the character because of this very reason, that they will actually have an alternate mode for the character and a robot mode. Now the company, as a capitalist company, are delighted with that, saying, well, that's great, we've gotten you to pay for that twice now. But I think as a consumer, I don't think it's unreasonable to say to them, look, if we're paying high-end prices, we expect a high-end product. If I'm purchasing Hot Toys, which is something that I do, I'm expecting a good quality product. Do they always get it right? No. They sometimes get it wrong, and sometimes there is quality control issues. But Hot Toys, more often than not, do address this issue and do correct it and say, we're sorry about that, and they do something about it. Point in fact is, you have recently what happened with the Tony Stark head sculpt, where the Tony Stark head sculpt wasn't accurate. Fans let them know, and they said, sorry about that, we'll actually offer you a swap. There was no such thing that was available for Transformers Masterpiece Hound, and that is a real pity. So much so that, from what I understand, Amazon Japan basically refused to let any more reviews occur about Masterpiece Hound and didn't have any sort of interest in stocking that yet again. So that's what happens with QC problems when that happens. If you have a widespread issue, a lot of people send it back. The retailer then says, I don't want to deal with this anymore. So then you're shortening then the amount of retailers you can go out and put your product to. Looking at Jetfire though and going back on him, I have to say I'm always excited by these grayscale models, and I say to myself, I really like what's going on here. I think it's interesting that they decided to go with G1 skids recently, and they seem to have gone for a more Hasui style of real world, real life looking alternate mode in a line that has really shifted towards cartoon accuracy, which is very odd to me that they've decided to do that. But maybe they have some sort of agreement in place with the manufacturer of the car or the van, and perhaps that's why they've done that. It looks like it's shifting back towards the anime accurate look, and I'm very happy with that. What I'm saying about this is though, and I think an awful lot of people probably feel the same, is that War for Cybertron trilogy has given us some fantastic versions of these characters. Some very accurate looking versions of the characters and fairly close enough versions of the characters to G1. Some of them, in my opinion, are like mini masterpieces. That version of Wheeljack that came out looks absolutely incredible. It is incredible, and I think the version of Trax that's going to come out looks unbelievable in my opinion. You take down, for example, Commander Class Jetfire, where it's a mass retail toy. It's fairly sturdy, and it has an awful lot of gear that you can attach to him to power him up, and it has blast effects. It looks wonderful, and for €80, which is what I spent on it, I feel I got a very good bargain for that. You look at what the Kingdom line is doing. Some of them have cheaped out on the plastics of what they've done, but in my opinion, I think the Commander Class Rodimus Prime is probably going to be a good figure, and I'm only saying probably because there are some issues that can arise with that one. You do have some of the issues that have arisen with the Studio Series 86 Hot Rod, and for example with the windscreen for Studio Series 86 Jazz. They are mass retail toys, but I do understand that they have to get these things right, because if fans don't buy these figures, then what the company sees is that figure isn't popular, that character isn't popular, we're not going to do them again. And that's a real shame, because here's the thing, fans talk on these different Facebook groups, they talk on social media, they talk on the likes of forums, and they will let each other know really quickly if there's a batch that aren't good enough or aren't up to scratch. Now, when you look at, for example, the last masterpiece that we've had out, particularly from G1, which is Generation 1 Hound, and how badly that was received and how bad that went, there has been no statement from the company to say we are going to fix this, or we can give you alternate parts or swappable parts to fix the widespread issues that you had with this figure. That's really sad to think that the company have just decided to move on from that character and basically say to fans, well, you return it and got your money back, or we got you because that figure is going to inevitably break at some stage. And I'm seeing an awful lot of people that have handled it really gently, saying that they have found cracks and stress marks on the figure and they have barely done anything to the figure, which is really sad. You look at Jetfire though here now, and whilst it looks fantastic, I don't know if you can really say to people this is a 300 plus figure. There is potential for QC problems, there is potential for paint problems, and you have a retail version there for $80 or €80 like I said. I think it's an easy decision to make to say the $80 version looks quite close to the Generation 1 counterpart. It scales very well with the other figures that are in the line. The other figures look quite close to the Generation 1 counterparts, and I think that that is excellent. And I think that that might be something that maybe Hasbro and Takara are trying to do, that they're trying to wind down this line of Generation 1 masterpieces and Beast Wars masterpieces. I don't think the company really want to be doing these masterpieces. That might be something now that might be, you might think that might be just going into thinking of it too much. But it certainly seems with the amount of problems and faults that we're seeing within this high-end collectible line that they don't seem to want nor care about fans that are purchasing into this line. I can understand for their bottom line that they want to have a mass retail product that everyone's going to buy, everyone's going to be happy with, and they're going to buy multiple of. That sounds like a good strategy, and it's going to earn them more money for sure. But when you're looking at this and you're trying to say, well, we want to keep those older fans, we want to keep those fans that are nostalgic, and we want to give them quality for what they've paid for, I think it's only right then that they have this release, and this release should be absolutely perfect. I don't think that there's any room for a problem with this release. I'm personally on the fence now with Hasbro and Takara when they release items like this. I am not going to buy the first release of a figure. You have 3 Seekers that are coming out very soon in Starscream, Skywarp and Thundercracker. I haven't put a pre-order down for any of those due to the issues with Hounds. Not only that then, but Takara then decided that if you ordered all 3 figures and you resided in Japan, you were going to get a coronation set for Starscream. If you are outside of Japan, hard luck, you're not getting that coronation set. That is bafflingly stupid in my opinion. I don't know how you could justify that. So with this release of this prototype, it does garner some excitement. It does gather some excitement because I like Jetfire. I like Skyfire as a character. I think he is a wonderful character, and when you look at the history of who voices him, particularly with Greg Berger being such a fantastic person and someone that I think that deserves a lot more accolades within the line and deserves a lot more attention and to be brought back as much as possible, it is sad to see that this is one of the figures that I think should be a QC perfection, but over the last couple of years we have been let down badly. I hope the company sorts itself out. I hope the company really lets fans know, hey, we're doing all that we can to make this the best figure ever and potentially to be your one and only Jetfire masterpiece collectible in your collection. I understand that maybe years down the line they might decide to revisit the character again and make a new and improved version. That's what they do, and that's fine. We all understand that. But it would be nice if the quality control wasn't good on this line. I think it's very telling that they've decided to stand it beside version 2 of Optimus Prime instead of version 3 of Optimus Prime, and I certainly think that that's a strange decision to make. Looking at the figure overall, I think it looks well articulated. I certainly can see in the fingers there, the fingers look like they are well articulated. I like the G1 boxy look that we can see with the figure. I think it looks outstanding. But I can't really stand behind it and say this is the best version you can get when you can get a Commander class and it looks wonderful, it feels wonderful, and it looks like it's going to hold up for quite some time. Where does the company go from here? I think the company really needs to step out and say, we are doing all that we can with this figure, and we are going to do all that we can with figures in the future. We are going to stop these QC issues. Look at any other high-end line and high-end lines that are going on in any other places. If they have an issue, they generally get back to you and say to you, okay, we know that this was a problem, we're going to fix that. But you have Hasbro and Takara that are in a very strange place now at the moment, that they've just released, for example, and I've done videos on it, on HasLab Unicron, and they had showed us images for well over a year of what HasLab Unicron would look like. and it didn't quite look like exactly what they had been shown for a certain amount of time. Inaccurate colours on the bottom teeth of the robot mode, and inaccurate colours that were on the maw. That's not good enough for a 500 plus collectible, and a one and done collectible from what we were told. That's not going to be one and done. I don't think they're fooling anybody, and I think within 5 years Hasbro will probably re-release the HasLab Unicron in accurate colours. I am no fool, and I think that that's what exactly they will do. I can see them doing it with their other HasLab products. I do not think that these will be one and done. I think they will re-release them down later on down the line. Look at the secondary market for Unicron already. Look at the secondary market for Jabba's Sail Barge already. And I think it will be the same for the Marvel Legends Sentinel. So I think the company really need to make it clear that this is going to be a fantastic release. It's going to be a sturdy release. And I think what the company needs to do is they need to space out the time amongst these masterpieces. It seems to me like a lot of them are slap bang wallop jobs, in that they have just cobbled them together. They haven't tested out the engineering, they haven't tested out if there's any issues, and then it's put out then to mass retail, and it's like, there's a massive problem with this, and then you get then maybe a revised, fixed version later on down the line. I'm certainly at that crossroads right now where I'm saying I'm not going to buy the first version of it. I'm going to wait for the reissue. And sometimes the tolerances on the reissues are a lot better. I suppose that just comes with it, that they get time then to look back at it and refine it. But I certainly hope that's not the case with Jetfire. This is an important character. This is a character that a lot of people like, and this is a character that a lot of people would pre-order. I don't think Hasbro and Takara understand now the lack of people in the fandom that are like, I don't really care. And that's somewhat to do with how good this War for Cybertron trilogy line has been, but it's also got something to do with the QC that people are saying that a lot of people have just checked out. Why would you spend $300 plus on this item when you can get it for $80? The QC is good. If you have an issue, buy another one. You can return it easily enough, and there you go. Everyone's happy. This is a $300 plus item. It's very difficult to return these, especially if there's a problem. And then, like myself, I like to have good paint on the figure. The boxes you can't see inside, so when you open it up and if it has bad paint, that's not quite what I want. I want to have a perfect version of this character. I hope these issues are addressed. I hope this was very informative then for people. I know this is talking about a leak that has come out, and particularly it's talking about this figure. But I think that that's how I feel as a fan overall, and I don't think it's unreasonable. And when I'm saying this, I want this to be for all fans, not just me. I want all fans to be getting a better product. I want all fans to be getting the ultimate product that they're not going to fear, oh my god, when is that going to crumble? When is that going to break? And then they're afraid to touch said figure. And I don't think that that is a way that should be within your collection. I think you should be able to pose these without any fear whatsoever. Anyway, I'm going to leave the video there. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell up above for future uploads. Check out the links posted in the description down below to support the channel. Consider joining the channel today, and I'll talk to you later. Till order one, good luck.